Here, marine biologist Ken Balcom has been observing the region's killer whales, or orcas, for nearly 3 decades. Perhaps the longest continuous study of these grand creatures.
The older animals I've known for much of their life, the younger ones for all of their life. They're simply magnificent. There's K40. Female has been here ever since the study began. There's K21, a young male born since we began.
Ken's work never stops. Perched above Puget Sound, his front porch serves as a spectacular vantage point from which to observe the 80-some orcas in his study group as they swim by.
A27, L22.
Years ago, Ken was among a handful of scientists who revolutionized the study of whales by implementing photo identification techniques.
They seem to be waiting.
Today, he and his volunteers photograph and videotape the whales' movements, while an underwater microphone records their distinctive calls.
We have a hydrophone out by the north of the reef out there, and then we just pipe it in through the speakers, and now we can record it on the video.
Every day here is pretty much the same. It's wake up in the morning and look for whales.
Every day, that is, except May 5th, 2003, a day that would change his life and spark a personal crusade to protect a pod of whales he considers family. It is a family he has come to know through thousands of hours of videotape and some 100,000 photographs taken over the course of nearly 30 years.
So this is that frame right there?
Yeah, it's that frame right there. And
When we started out this study, we just had a whole bunch of photographs of dorsal fins and saddle patterns. We had a lot of whales. We didn't know the relationship of any of them. But as we continued the study, we came over here in time, and we could track the genealogy. As a mother had a baby, we could see its relationship with the mother. She maybe had sisters and brothers that traveled with the baby, and the baby may have had a baby itself, another generation.
Ken documented that his whales live in 3 separate pods. And like human families, these whales often stay together for life, forming extended groups. Each of Ken's pods is led by the oldest females. One of J Pod's leaders is Granny, who may be more than 90 years old.
They're part of the family. That's the way I feel about these whales. They're not pets, but they're part of the family. Or maybe I'm part of their family.
Each fall, Ken says goodbye to the whales as they head out to the open sea, perhaps following the salmon. In the spring, when the fish return to spawn, the whales reappear. But lately, too many of the whales have gone missing, whales that should be thriving.
We see all these little tombstones, and any of these whales that die in their youth or in their prime years are likely to have died from some suspicious cause. It's just not normal to have such a massive investment of a mother into an offspring who's a top predator in this whole ecosystem and just have them die young.
What could be happening to the whales? Ken knew that pollutants and declining salmon stocks were taking their toll, but he suspected something else was at work as well.
See who that is out by that little boat?
Then came the shock of May 5th, 2003, in an eruption of sound.
Our local J-pod, southern resident whales, came right in front of the house, along with the destroyer hanging with its sonar. It was a remarkable sort of laboratory kind of experiment that I couldn't have designed in advance.
Within minutes, Ken observed Dahl's porpoises racing from the area. Then a group of killer whales headed toward shore, as if they intended to strand. Ken could see they were members of J-Pod, Granny's clan.
I try not to get angry about things, but this just sort of welled up from my stomach to my throat, and I just wanted to shout. This was occurring in a known marine mammal habitat where we know these whales are already endangered.
A former Navy officer himself, Ken was acutely aware that the lives of thousands of men and women depend on sonar every day. But he also knew from first-hand experience that sonar can be harmful to some whales. Ken desperately tried to get word to the ship, as did others who were near the strait that day. About 4 hours after the exercise began, the message got through, and the Navy turned its sonar off. But Ken remained concerned about the long-term consequences.
We'll be back here pretty quick.
He would watch the whales carefully for the next few weeks, monitoring them for any change in their behavior.
And J2 showed up from the north, and then they all kind of broke up.
In the Florida Keys, a different kind of crisis unfolds. More than 24 whales have stranded in shallow water. They are pilot whales, among the most social of their kind, and the most notorious for this baffling and apparently suicidal behavior. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration is on the scene, directing scores of volunteers. NOAA marine biologist Laura Engelby is in charge, looking for clues to why this happened.
I can see a lot of them. One real popular theory is that there might be a lead animal or one of the members of the group that's sick and ends up closer to shore. Since pilot whales are very cohesive, very gregarious, they're very tight-knit groups, they end up following that one individual animal. They get in shallow water, they become disoriented, the tide goes out, and they're left stranded on the flats like we saw when we got here.
The whales are so weak, the volunteers have to hold them up to keep them from drowning. They are suffering from severe dehydration and sunburn. For some, it is too late.
We had a marine mammal veterinarian come on scene, and those animals that looked like they were just suffering, we just felt like the most humane course of action was to euthanize some of them, so we had to do that.
The 7 remaining whales will require special care day and night from a small army of volunteers. Members of 2 local rescue groups, the Marine Mammal Conservancy and the Florida Keys Marine Mammal Rescue Team, are in the vanguard. Local residents go absent from work to help, and vacationers abandon their holiday plans. It takes more than 100 a day in 4-hour shifts to keep the whales afloat.
There's a connection and a fascination. Once you make eye contact with them and they've made eye contact with you, you cannot and you will not forget that experience.
The Marine Mammal Conservancy's Rick Trout has worked to save stranded animals for more than 20 years.
This animal's name is number 1.
Each animal is identified, but not by name.
I've never been fond of naming these creatures because I have the personal opinion that their mother already named them. In the beginning, we numbered them by size. The big guy was 1, down to the baby who was 7.
Perhaps no more than 1 year old, little number 7